Hello beautifuls, my name's epictreasuremedia. Welcome to the channel. So this video today is to go through every single resource in Grounded 2 for everything that you need to farm, to grind for, etc. And it's going to be a wonderful treasure trove indeed, and certainly bookmark this because you're going to need it. Now that being said, as you know, in Grounded 2, the map is pretty wishy-washy. It's hard to sort of define things. But what I found is that Map Genie has got a far more detailed map where you can see things a lot better. And Map Genie is, I've got no affiliation with them whatsoever, but they've got incredible resources to clean up maps in games. So if you're looking for collectibles, that's a great site to use. Now, usually what happens is if you don't have multiple monitors, people usually use their phone, and Map Genie does not work very well on the phone. It works well if you're at a PC with multiple monitors, but it's struggle street for people who are on phone because it just doesn't load nicely. So what we're going to do today is go through each of the collectibles and bring it up on the screen here instead of me just sort of pinning the marker on my own map. So if you do want to use Map Genie, if you've got another device that has a decent screen, then definitely it's just mapgenie.io. And they've got every game, for example, Elden Ring, that's the first time I used it, I think. But every game that's come out, they mark every single area. But let's get on with the show. So what I'm going to do is have timestamps for each of these resources. And the map is going to mark where each of these items are. So hopefully, if you're lost, you can bookmark this and then go, I need some pine cones. Where the hell are they? Go to the video, click on the pine cone timestamp, off you go. So first of all, this is the location for the acorns. So I'm going to move around the screen. I'm going to show you all the locations for the acorns. So the main acorn location is right down the bottom here at the entrance area. And what you can also do, I'll show you what it looks like on Map Genie when you show all the icons. It's nuts. And then they have some sort of service where you can pay, like it's $5 or something like that, and you can mark these things off. They're really handy for when you're doing collectibles in games. So having a look again at the acorn area, let's just zoom in here. I'm going to zoom right in. Look how far we can go in here. So what you probably might like to do is for the really important things to pause it as we go. So there we have the acorns. I'm going to sort of scroll across. So this is where I'd be farming, spending my time farming all the acorns there. There's a few other areas here and here. Let me just zoom right in here. There. I'm pretty sure that you don't need like a panning, cinematic shot of the acorn because they sort of stick out pretty, prevalently. Over here, we've got them around that lamp post area here and here. And then we have a spot here. And that's the cool part. If you want to see the picture of what it looks like, often when people are marking off their locations in Map Genie, it'll show the pictures of them like this. If you really need to get a good shot of it. So there's those locations. So these are the acorns. There's also one up at the statue, but I would just go nuts and go down to the very, very bottom left in the entrance area to grind for yours. The next item that is on the list are apples, and we can see again right down here is the go where the trash bin thing is. So we can see the apple under there, bit of apple core here, a bit of apple core there, another one there. So that's a really nice section to get your apple parts. This section I wouldn't try and muck with too much just because you'll freeze, unfortunately, unless you've got all your anti-freeze stuff on. But again, we've got the apple that's under the deck. As you can see, it's all dark there, so it's usually under the deck there. And then some up in the Pine Hill area over here, under the pine tree, etc. So if you just want to grab some of those on the way, that's where they are. But if you do want to farm for them, I would be going around this zone down the bottom here. So have a look and compare it to your map. So let me just remove this for a second. And the wishy-washy map. So it would be all around this bit here. So get your bearings. There's the juice box or whatever you call, we call them poppers here, around there, but around this section here, that's where your apples are. Let's bring up the next one, shall we? Not the road map, this one. So the billy hog. Zooming out again, fully. Make it nice and neat. The billy hog. We've got the rotten billy hog here. The hot dogs, right? What's underneath the paper plate. We have one here. It says you do need a tier 3 axe for it. And then we have some that are going around the snack bar area. Again, tier 3 axe. Kind of looks nice even though it's on the ground. I mean, how hungry you are at the moment. You go, oh, hot dog. And some of them are very in the dark because they're under the deck. There's another one. So we've got one in the trash bag area. It's a bit hard to see that one. And then again around the area of the picnic table here. And one just here under the paper plate. So moving up to the fire pit. On top of the fire pit grill. Then in the grass games area, there is one right here. On top of that map thing, the flyer. We've got one hiding underneath that, underneath the paper container. And those are the billy hog locations. The next one that we're going to have a look at is the blueberries. Now the blueberries are predominantly in 2 locations. Down south of the ice cream cart. You'll be able to see this on your normal map. Let me just grab the normal map up here. So when you zoom in on your map, you'll be able to see all of the blueberry section here. It's really hard to see on this screen, but if you've got a big screen, you'll see all this sort of cluster of little purple dots here. And that's what the blueberries are. You can't really see it on this screen. That's why it's not the best map to be using. Let's just bring up the other map. So that's where they are. We just take a little shot of this. And that's exactly what they look like, just blueberries. And then the next one, let me zoom out, is going to be picnic table again. I'm going to zoom in on here. And we can see that the tablecloth orb weaver den over here. Just underneath it. That's where they're scattered there. So those are the only 2 spots for blueberries. The next one we've got is the Bur Weed. These are kind of scattered across the place. For the starting area, your starting area base should be where the outpost is here. I would spend some time going out here and just gathering and gathering and gathering, because you're not going to be spending a lot of time in this area. You're going to be moving up a little bit more north as you go. So the Bur Weed we have here, I'm going to just zoom in on this bit. So we can see, let me just try to get our bearings here. There's the trash can there. We can see the big blue item. Let me just bring up the normal map for a second. Try and zoom in on this. You see how it's like wacky? So that's that bluey colored section there. So down here we see the stick is here. It's about here, right? Look for that dark bit on your map that goes around in this circle here. There, and then there's one there. There and there. Okay, sometimes it's handy to use both maps. Zooming back out again. And moving up, we see it southeast of here. That's what the Bur Weed looks like. Zooming in a little bit more, makes it life a little bit easier. You should be able to see those sort of, you know, as you look up at the grass tippity tops anyway. Then we have them sort of scattered around the perimeter of this rock. And again, I'm a little bit fixated on this to have a base here because it's nice and flat. There's a tic-tac box there. There's the outpost, a ranger outpost station underneath there too. But that's a nice little farming run back and forth there. So that is the section for the Bur Weed. The next one is charcoal. So charcoal will be found just in the fire pit area. It's really easy to find. It's just scattered throughout there. There's a picture here, yeah. It sticks out like a sore thumb. The next one is chewed gum. Let me just zoom out for chewed gum. These are scattered all the way throughout the places. They're usually put in places that, not always, there's sometimes they're just under a tree, but usually where trash is, for example, like here, just stuck on the side of things. It's always pink, I'm pretty sure. There we go. Just look for it really sticks out. And then we've got one over here in the corner, stuck on the side of the wall. We've got one where the lanterny thing is there, lamppost. We can see some raw science there. We see some where the lunchbox is. See, lunchbox. Then we have some where the ice cream car is. Big shot. You got the money shot there, didn't you? And over here. So let me just zoom out for a second so you can get a full scope on the area. This might make it easier. Not all of them do have pictures though, unfortunately. But at least this makes it easier so you don't, like if you don't have a device on the side, then at least you've got a video that you can just pause as you go. So this spot is really nice to have, and this is why I'm very drawn to this location to hear a base, is that there's a lot always going on where this podium thing is. Bookshelf or whatever the hell, I think it's a podium. It's always all the creatures there just about, and they've got lots of resources that respawn. We've got some chewed gum up here under the skateboard, some underneath the tablecloth section. We've got chewed gum here on the table frame, and we've got some up the top inside the memorial crate, and we've got some with a shovel. What's it? No, we need a shovel. Let's have a look at this one. It's just stuck on a rock. Interesting. So that is where our gum is. Yeah, tier 2 shovel you need for that one. No gum where the statue is. That's interesting, isn't it? So they're the locations for the gum. What's this one here? No picture on that one. The next one that we've got is the chocolate chip. This is all, I think, only where the ice cream cart is. So here we have the chocolate chips. Like that. That's going to be a fun one to grab, isn't it? Again. So that's where those are. The next one we have is clay. Clay is absolutely everywhere. They're usually almost always where the ravines are. So where there's bodies of water, you'll find them there. You'll find a sort of square chunk. Actually, a picture will show them. Hopefully somebody's got a picture of them here. That's what they look like. So you go whack, 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 and they'll break up into multiple parts, and then you just grab them. You'll absolutely need clay in this game. There's no ifs or buts about that. Grab it early from the get-go. But really, you just have to walk around the main pathways and they'll be everywhere. They're usually in water. Yeah. So this is a main sort of thoroughfare for it. Here, around there. And over here. See, this is watery area. Over here. So again, I'm going to zoom out just so you can get a shot of that. But just sort of stick to the main areas that are watery, and you'll see them. They're not hard to find. The next one we have is Clover. Clover's, I think there's something severely wrong with this. There's a lot more clover than what there is showing on this. There's clover absolutely everywhere around here. Clover, trying to get a good shot of it. These are the little stems here. Actually, yeah, where the ranger station is. So the clover, there's far more clover than what there is in this map here. But you'll find tons of it around here, right next to that main base. I'm going to take you to I'm going to take you quickly to the main base that you should probably have. And don't forget to check out the channel for the tutorial on that. So what I'll do, I'm just going to load up. I'll just quit that. And we'll just get on to the next one. I just want to show you this clover. You can skip all this if you don't need clover. I'm just going to go multiplayer. Host, continue. Yes. Just, yeah. Load this one up here. I think it's broken again. Yeah, she's broken again. Snack bar 11. Log out, save. Maybe this one. And then I'll just drop dead on there and see if I can get to it. The next one we're going to look at while this is loading is the cookie sandwich. Third person, accept.
Salut, je suis Maxwell.
Yeah.
Maxwell Smalls.
I'm doing it in French because I'm sick of their accents. Let's bring that back. Yeah. We're just going to move on to the cookie sandwich. The cookie sandwich is around the ice cream cart. Like this. They just look like the Oreos. There again. And over here. And over here. Honestly, I think that they should only accept markers that have photos. And that's another one. Two on the picnic table. There's another one underneath the picnic table. But yeah, the ice cream cart's the way to go. There's 4 there at least. Alright, let us just get rid of this for a second. See where I end up. Go to respawn. We're over here. So just ignore that. Bother about it. But if you do want to go, if you just started and you haven't even really got to anything, I'll just take you quickly to the best base location, I think.
J'ai l'impression qu'un asticot creuse juste sous nos pieds.
So when you start, you're basically just looking straight away for the water pump.
Tu n'aurais pas pu choisir un autre moment que la cérémonie pour
The water pump is... That's enough, you're being very loud,
mec,
sir.
Ils inaugurent une statue à ton effigie. Relax.
Go to the water pump, which is right there. It's relatively flat, but it's got everything you need there. We can see that there's the grass there. We're already here. Bang, bang, bang. Dry grass. There's already sap here. A big clump of sap. There's already this big pebble to smash. Up here, we can see the clover everywhere. So when we have a look at our map, there's already clover there, which is not on that map that I was showing you. There's clover, clover. There's clover everywhere. There's also a pine cone over there too, which you'll be needing. But again, the ranger station's there where you can scan everything. So there's that. It's a really good spot, relatively flat, very handy to have. So let us get back to business. Get rid of that there and bring back our map. Next one is the crow feather. So zooming out, the crow feather again. We've got the crow feathers in this entrance area where this blue part is here. We can see it under there. We can see one down here too. Then we'll also have some where the ice cream cart is again. 2 of those there. And then we have a few more at the top. We have some of the statue too. So this crow feather is right near the lamp post up here. And there's 2 on the rock there above that lamp post. Just east of the picnic table. There's one that is underneath the picnic. No, it's on top of the picnic table. Yeah, it's just hanging off the edge of the picnic table. There's one up the very top of the fire pit area. We have one here in the grass game section. We have one on the little trail there. And we have them around the fountain, which is, well, not fountain, around the statue, which is not hard to find because it's just there. So let me just click off and just freeze it there for you. The next thing we've got is the dandelion. Now, the dandelions are everywhere. People haven't been marking this one. The dandelions, hopefully there's a picture of these. This is what they look like. You can chop those up to get your weed stems. Now, for some reason, people have just marked them as that. Let me just bring back the game a second. In case you really look after them. And if you're a builder, that's something that you're going to be wanting to get. So here we can see there. When you have a look at the stems, they're a little bit off color. So these are bright green. The grass is bright green. If you want grass seeds, you just look up. See these up here? They're grass seeds. So as soon as you whack that, the grass seeds will come falling down. But as for the dandelion, as you can see, it's got that brownish tinge to it. It's a harder stem, and you can see the, you know, where you blow and make a wish on those dandelions. So they're all over the place, but there's certainly something that you want to, if you've got a base, you want to have some close by because you're always going to be using the weed stems. But they are everywhere. And far more than what that map showed. So let me just go in here. Grab this bloody Omni axe off the wall.
Hey! Si seulement j'avais eu un de ces trucs dans le jardin de Tully.
Oh, we're not answering the phone. Get out. Alright. So back to resources. Again. Down to the donuts. So the donuts over here, we've got them, I believe they're under the deck, they're out on the ground, on the edge of the deck, all over the place. Chunks of donuts where the, oh, that one's an interesting one, isn't it? The rotten donut inside the toxic anthill, that one. That's where those are. Next one is the fresh mint. These are pretty much all over the place. Again, the trash can thing there, we can see that cradled in the leaf bit. We can see the yellow lunchbox down the bottom has 2 in there. The ice cream cart on leaves, stuck up in the corner. They look like little tombstone things if you haven't seen them before. Little white and green tombstone looking thing. So let's just zoom out a little bit. Picnic table, there's a few there. Inside the briefcase. Again in the briefcase. Down these little crevices. Tic-tac box. So let me just zoom out like this. And that's where you'll find all of the fresh mints. The next one we have is the Hosta Plant. The Hosta Plant looks like this on top of the tablecloth. It is that purpley blue flower under the billy hog container. These stick out really obviously. So they're sort of mainstay areas around the picnic table. There's a few up the top section of the statue. The next one we have is the hot chachas. So we see one over here. These are, I think, yeah, spicy candy zones, little spicy candy spots. And often you'll find these with the sour ones. Again, this one's where the trash thing is. They really stand out. They're bright orange and red. But again, if you found the other candies, the sour ones, see they're side by side. They're usually together a lot of the time. For example, let me just try and find this other one. One under there. There was one inside a little, I think it was that one. That one is inside the toxic anthill. Just take it slow when you go in there. There's a lot of treasures to find. But you won't miss them. They really stand out. Bright orange, hot Chachas. So let's just leave that picture there and move on to the next one. The Husky Weeds are everywhere. Let's just go. Hopefully there's a picture there we can look at. If we did like a step-by-step walkthrough on every single thing, we would be here for 6 hours. So this is the quickest way to do it. Let me just find this one. So the Husky Weed, we walked past this in the game a second ago. Oh, that one did work. Like this. Let me just take you to it in the game though, because I've got it right on my screen. The Husky Weed looks like this. So brown stems, clover-esque looking leaves on them-ish. I think they look very, very nice actually. So that's the husky ones. Don't forget to analyze all the items that you pick up too. All right, next one that we have. Let's just zoom out for the Husky Weed though, in case you can't find them. We'll just zoom in a little bit. They're everywhere. These won't be a problem to find. Look for the brown stems. Easy peasy. The next one we have is the icicles. The icicles are not marked on this map besides up here. But the icicles you'll find around this cart, the grass here will have icicles hanging off them. Smash those grass blades and the icicles will fall off them and you'll be able to loot them. So all around here. But make sure that you don't take your mount there. As soon as you touch that ice, the mount will despawn. And then you'll have to summon them when you're far away from the icy area. The next one that we've got is the Lingonberry, which is up here. So the trash bag area running up along this fence. They look like cherries. Here. Kind of blueberry cherries, but more red. Hanging from the middle branches. Hanging off a branch, you get the gist. So around this left side. If you know where there's more of those berries, then put them in the comments below. The Lint Clump here all over the picnic table. And that's what they look like there. Like that. Pretty gross looking actually. Let me zoom out. Yep, picnic table. The next one we have is the marble. Get rid of the clump. The marble here. These are often where there's big clusters of dirt. They'll be in the anthills. They're very shiny. You want to touch them. Very smooth. They look like blue lace agate, but with purple in them instead of blue. Shiny, squarish, rectangular. You want to touch it. But go into your anthills and have a little dig around there, because I guarantee they'll be in probably the corners of those places. Also one up here, I believe. Yes, 3 of them actually. Bang, bang, bang. Look at that. Right in the corner. The next one we have is the Milkweed Pods. This is what these ones look like. I haven't actually seen these in the game myself yet. But we know what they look like now. Weird little brown, dirty looking pod things. There's another one here. Like that. Hairy, spiky pods. So just south of the picnic table. Again, I'm curious if they're in other areas. Holler if they are. Next we have some mushrooms. These are everywhere. These are absolutely everywhere. Non-stop. Mushrooms everywhere. There's no need to show you that, because you're going to see them every step you take. They're going to be all over the place. Not so much in the north, but more so in the mid and in the south. The needle bundle is up here. Let's have a picture of this one. So this is what they look like. This is where you get your pine needles from. They've got a stick, and then they've got all these needle things hanging off. They'll break off, and you'll get a whole bunch of them in no time. So let me just zoom out. These are absolutely everywhere. They're also all around here too, I think. The next one we have is the Pinecone. These are all over the place. We know we've got a Pinecone here. You'll be needing those too. And a whole bunch of them over here where this big tree is. This big tree here is absolutely a beautiful location to build. We have the big tree root going up here. And thank you to Fat Steve for this hot tip that this spot down here, all these spots down here are great locations to build, considering, let's look at the main map in the game. Considering when we look at the main map in the game, the area that hasn't been completed yet. So upcoming content will be all around here. So these are really good spots to be building. And that is the spot where that tree is, where the root goes up. And there's a lot of pine cones there. And that tree is really nice to build on. Watch my tutorial, my tour on the castle build on the channel. And that's exactly where I built that. The next one we have is the pop caps. Let me just bring this up on the screen. Pop caps are here. So these are like the BB gun, I guess they are, whatever they're called. We don't really do them in Australia, but that's what they look like. Inside a small cave next to the dead root, accessible from the tunnel entrance. So these really stick out. You won't miss them as you're running on by. They're bright red, like that. So have a look at the map. I'm going to keep it centered. Do you know, wait a second? You know exactly where they are. There we go. There. Might like to pause it, like I said. Next one we have is the quartzite. These are often amongst all the rocks like this. They're shinier than the rocks. They're in the anthills too. Like here. Very shiny. You won't miss them. Again, be careful around that ice cream cart. And again, this one's in that bally thing. It's got the raw science there, but we can see the big chunk of the quartzite there. And some on the perimeter of the garbage can where the entrance is. One behind there. All happening, isn't it? So let's just freeze that bit. And I'll put the link for Map Genie in the description below. You might find it handy if you do have a device you can look at on the side. But again, the phone is not good for it. There's the raw science section. What I might do for this one is I'm going to zoom in and keep it still for a moment so you can find all the raw science areas. It's going to take probably an hour if I do this one by one, and we don't want to do that. Otherwise, you're going to be slammed with so many ads. So there's the raw science. You might like to pause it. You know these stick out like a sore thumb too. Bright pink. Let me just try and get a picture of one. There we go. They're just glowing orb things. That's the entrance. We're going to move over to the ice cream cart section. And so it's often easier to go look for them at night time because they do obviously light up. Next one is the snack bar front. Yeah. Pause it if you need to. Going up here to the picnic table zone. And once you collect them, that's all you need to do. Click and collect and see you later. And again, if you do go on Map Genie, you can pay, like I said, it's like $5 I think. And they have a feature where you can mark them off. Like you can have everything selected and then just mark the things off that you collect along the way, which is again what I did when I played Elden Ring. I was collecting the larval tears and I didn't want to miss anything. And the ashes, I believe. And then you just tick them off and then know that you've already done it. It's really handy for people that have got terrible memory. So Pine Hill, let me just zoom out of that a little bit. There's Pine Hill section. Then we've got the fire pit. Zoom in a little bit for that one. Then over here to the grass games. Pause it if you have to. Down to ceremony. And then we've got statue, which is, it's good. Yeah, statue. The next one we're looking at is the Sap Clump. These are everywhere. I don't even have to show these. These are rampant. You know what these look like? Let me just bring up the screen again. Sap clumps literally look like this. You just smash them. But soon enough, you'll be able to just have a sap collector. And you'll be able to stick them directly onto a tree. And over time, they'll collect their own sap. So you're not going to need, you know, this all the time. You'll be able to slap these down. If you do build at the base, that main base I told you about, get your sap collector away from this pebble because the pebble keep respawning if you keep it clear. But if you start to build a sap collector over it, it will not respawn and that would be unfun. Back to the map. Really don't need to show you the sap clumps because I'll put it there anyway just in case. Yeah. In case you want to go on a clump hunt. Next one is a sour candy. So there's the entrance area. The sour candy is like a snake that's all, like a tree snake, green tree snake that's all spiraled up. They're usually with the other candy, like I said before. These was 2 of them right at the boundary line. 1 with the trash can is with 2 on there. 1 over where the ice cream thing is. Another one there. I don't know. There we go. Just hanging out on the grass. 1 over here. It's right in the end of that. That's the other candy, the hot candy. They're both together. There's 2 in there. We've got 1 where the lamppost is. Two there with the hot candy near it. More inside the underground section. And that is it for those ones. The thistles. There's far more thistles than that. That's what the thistles look like. I don't think you'll be on the hunt for too many of those. They're literally everywhere. But you can see the sort of spiky kind of sharp leaves that they have. We have toadstools here. They're everywhere. These are the red and white ones all over the place. More so in the mid to south part of the map. Like I said, that... What the hell? Oh, is that good? That's a burger. That's a hot dog. What am I talking about? The toadstools are easy to find. So those are all the locations. Let me just zoom out. I really don't think you need to know that though. And that is a section for that. I hope you enjoyed this. This is kind of the quickest way to show you what all the resources are, to take you to each one with a screenshot. I don't even want to think about how long the video would be. But again, check out the link in the description below. Like I said, I've got no affiliation with Map Genie, but it is the one that I use the most. And there's other sites too that have maps that you can contribute to too. This one has still got some ways to go. There's a lot of items missing from it, but check back in time and hopefully people will fill up the rest of the map. I love and leave you. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you to members for making this content possible. I love and leave you. Have an amazing day or night. I'll see you in the Discord channel, link in the description below. And if you want to become a member, come support the channel. Link in the description below for that too. Until next time.